what if I told you that the food you're giving your cat every single day, with love, with care, might actually be slowly hurting them? Most owners have no idea. And the signs are right there, hiding in plain sight. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might completely change how you feed your cat forever. There's something happening in homes all over the world, and it's completely invisible to most people. Cat owners who truly love their pets, who buy the prettiest bowls, who feed on schedule every single day, are unknowingly making a mistake that builds up over months and years. It doesn't look like neglect. It doesn't feel like harm. In fact, it looks exactly like love. But what's in that bowl, how much is in it, and when it's served can make all the difference between a cat that thrives and a cat that silently suffers. Here's the thing about cats. They are masters at hiding discomfort. It's not stubbornness or attitude. It's pure survival instinct. In the wild, showing weakness makes you a target. So your cat has been trained by thousands of years of evolution to look perfectly fine even when something is wrong on the inside. That means by the time you notice something is off, the dull coat, the weight gain, the low energy, the damage from poor nutrition has usually been going on for a long time. The reason so many owners feed their cats wrong isn't laziness or a lack of love, it's misinformation. The pet food industry is enormous, and a lot of what gets marketed to us as complete and balanced or vet recommended is built more around profit than around what a cat's body actually needs. Pretty packaging, cartoon cats on the label, phrases like natural ingredients. None of that tells you whether the food inside truly matches what your cat's biology was designed to run on. And that's exactly why we're here today. Not to make you feel guilty, you didn't know what you didn't know, but to give you the real, honest information that most pet food companies don't want you to think too hard about. Because once you understand how a cat's digestive system actually works, what they were built to eat, and what modern cat food often gets dangerously wrong, everything changes. You'll never look at that bag of kibble the same way again. Let's go back to basics for a second, because this is where everything starts. Cats are obligate carnivores. That's not just a cool animal fact, it's a biological reality that shapes every single thing about how they process food. Unlike dogs, who evolved alongside humans eating scraps of everything including grains and vegetables, cats evolved as pure hunters. Every meal in nature was a small animal, a mouse, a bird, a lizard, high protein, moderate fat, almost zero carbohydrates. That's the blueprint their body still runs on today. Here's what that means in practical terms. A cat's liver cannot process large amounts of carbohydrates. They don't produce the enzymes needed to break them down efficiently. And yet, the majority of dry cat food, the kind most people feed daily, is absolutely packed with carbohydrates: corn, wheat, rice, potato starch. These ingredients are cheap, they help the kibble hold its shape, and they add bulk, but they are completely foreign to what a cat's system was built to handle. Over time, that constant carbohydrate load strains the pancreas, disrupts blood sugar, and is one of the leading drivers of feline diabetes and obesity. Water is another piece of the puzzle that most people miss entirely. In nature, cats got the vast majority of their hydration from the prey they ate. A mouse is about 70% water. So cats never really evolved a strong thirst drive. They're biologically designed to get their fluids from food, not from a water bowl. When you feed a cat primarily dry kibble, which has roughly 10% moisture, you're essentially asking a desert-adapted animal to compensate by drinking more water than their instincts are wired to seek out. Many cats simply don't. And chronic low-level dehydration is a direct path to kidney disease, which is the #1 cause of death in domestic cats. Now here's the curious part. Your cat's behavior around food is actually giving you signals all the time. Does your cat eat quickly and then seem unsatisfied? Does she beg constantly even after meals? Does he turn his nose up at certain foods for no obvious reason? These aren't random quirks or your cat being picky. They are often your cat's body communicating that something in the diet isn't right. A cat that's nutritionally satisfied, really satisfied at a biological level, eats calmly, doesn't obsess over the bowl, and shows it in their coat, energy, and behavior. Walk into any pet store and look at the cat food aisle. It's overwhelming, hundreds of options, all of them claiming to be the best. But here's a question most people never stop to ask. Who is this food actually designed for? The honest answer is that a lot of it is designed for convenience and shelf life, not for your cat's long-term health. Dry kibble, for example, needs to survive being stored in a warehouse, shipped across the country, and sitting on a shelf for months. That process requires things that have nothing to do with nutrition. Rendering is a term most cat owners have never heard, but it's central to understanding what's inside cheap cat food. When meat is rendered, it's processed at extremely high temperatures, which destroys a significant portion of the natural nutrients, including the amino acids and proteins that cats desperately need. To compensate, manufacturers then add synthetic vitamins and minerals back in. So that chicken or salmon on the label has been so heavily processed that the original nutritional value is largely gone, replaced by lab-made substitutes that don't behave the same way in your cat's body as real whole nutrients do. Then there's the ingredient list, and learning to read it is genuinely eye-opening. Ingredients are listed by weight from most to least. So when you see chicken as the first ingredient, that sounds great. But that chicken is weighed before cooking when it still holds all its moisture. After cooking, it shrinks dramatically. By the time the food is finished, that first ingredient chicken might represent a much smaller portion of what's actually in the bowl than you'd think. Meanwhile, the grain or starch that was listed third or fourth might actually make up the largest dry weight portion of the food. It's not illegal. It's just the kind of detail the industry counts on you not noticing. One of the most overlooked issues is artificial additives and preservatives. Some dry foods use chemical preservatives like BHA and BHT, substances that are banned or heavily restricted in human food in several countries, but still permitted in pet food. Others use artificial colors and flavor enhancers to make food more appealing to your cat, or, more accurately, more appealing to you when you look at it in the store. Your cat doesn't care what color the kibble is. Those dyes serve no nutritional purpose whatsoever. And when you realize that some cats are eating this same food with these same additives every single day for years, it starts to paint a very different picture of what complete nutrition really means. Let's talk about what a nutritionally struggling cat actually looks like, because most of these signs are so gradual that owners don't connect them to food at all. One of the first things to watch is the coat. A cat on a genuinely good diet has fur that's dense, shiny, and smooth. When the diet is missing essential fatty acids, particularly omega-3s and omega-6s, the coat starts to look dull, feels coarse to the touch, and you'll notice more loose fur, more shedding, and sometimes small flakes of dry skin at the base of the hair. It's the body's way of rationing limited nutrients to keep vital organs running, at the expense of less critical things like coat quality. Weight is another major signal, and it cuts both ways. An overweight cat is the most obvious sign of too many carbohydrates and too many calories from the wrong sources. But an underweight cat on a high-volume diet is just as worrying. It often means the food is so nutritionally poor that the cat's body is absorbing very little of it despite eating plenty. Then there's muscle loss, which is sneaky. Cats can maintain a normal body weight on the scale while losing muscle mass, something that happens especially as they age. This shows up in how they move, less fluid, slower to jump, quicker to tire out during play. Digestive symptoms are something a lot of cat owners just accept as normal, but they really shouldn't be. Frequent vomiting, especially of undigested food shortly after eating, often points to food being consumed too fast because the cat is nutritionally unsatisfied and desperate for more. Loose stools, excessive gas, or litter box visits that seem too frequent can all point to a diet that's simply too high in fillers and too low in digestible protein. A healthy cat on a well-matched diet has firm, low-odor stools and a digestive system that runs quietly in the background. No drama, no mess, no smell that clears the room. Energy and mood are the final pieces, and they're often the most heartbreaking when you realize what they mean. A cat that sleeps 20 hours a day and barely engages with toys or family members isn't just being a cat. Lethargy beyond normal feline laziness, disinterest in play, and a general flatness in personality can all be tied to nutritional deficiency. When a cat is getting the right fuel, real protein, proper hydration, the right balance of nutrients, you see it in their eyes and how they move through the house and how they respond to you. Vitality isn't invisible, and once you know what it looks like, you realize how many cats are quietly running on empty. So what does the right path actually look like? It starts with understanding that no single food is perfect for every cat, but some principles hold true across the board. The foundation of a healthy feline diet is high-quality animal protein, not protein that comes primarily from plant sources like soy or corn gluten, but real meat, real fish, real poultry. The closer the food gets to what a cat would eat in nature, the better the body knows what to do with it. That's not a trendy wellness idea, it's just biology working the way it was designed to. Wet food deserves a serious look from anyone who currently feeds their cat exclusively on dry kibble. The moisture content alone makes a significant difference for kidney health, urinary tract health, and overall hydration. A cat eating quality wet food is getting roughly 70 to 80% moisture with each meal, close to what they'd get from prey in the wild. This doesn't mean dry food is always the enemy, but it does mean that a diet built entirely on kibble is asking your cat's body to work around a fundamental mismatch every single day. Even replacing one dry meal with a quality wet option can have a noticeable impact over time. Reading labels becomes a genuinely powerful skill once you know what to look for. You want to see a named meat source, chicken, turkey, salmon, beef, as the first ingredient, and ideally the second and third as well. You want the carbohydrate sources to be minimal and, when present, to come from digestible options rather than cheap fillers. You want the additive list to be short and recognizable. And you want to be skeptical of anything that relies heavily on byproducts without specifying what those byproducts actually are. Meat byproducts can range from nutritious organ meats to things that offer very little. Named organ meats, chicken liver, beef heart, are different and can actually be quite nutritious. The transition to better food needs to be done slowly. This part really matters. Cats have sensitive digestive systems and don't always welcome change, especially if they've been eating the same food for a long time. A gradual shift over 1 to 2 weeks, mixing increasing amounts of the new food into the old, gives the gut time to adjust and dramatically reduces the chance of digestive upset or flat-out refusal. And if your cat is resistant, don't give up. Sometimes warming the food slightly, adding a small amount of low-sodium broth, or trying a different protein source is all it takes to get them on board. Patience here pays off in years of better health. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. You started this video as someone who loves their cat and wanted to do right by them. And that hasn't changed. If anything, what you know now makes that love even more powerful, because now it's backed by real understanding. The mistakes most owners make aren't born from carelessness. They're born from a system that wasn't always designed with your cat's best interest at the center. Now you know how to look past the marketing, read the signals your cat is sending, and make choices that reflect what their body actually needs. Your cat can't tell you when something is wrong. They can't ask for better food or explain that they're always thirsty or that their stomach hurts. All they can do is show you, slowly, quietly, in the way their coat looks and the way they move and the energy they carry through the day. You are their only advocate. And now you're a much better one. Start small if you need to. Read one label, make one swap, notice one change. That's how it begins. And over weeks and months, those small choices stack up into a longer, healthier, happier life for the animal that trusts you completely.